Welcome to another session with the Legaltech Lounge. Today we're speaking to Kelechi, who is the founder of Techlawyered. My name is Vanessa. I'm a tech lawyer in Ghana, and I'm an in-house counsel for a fintech company in Ghana. So I specialize in fintech, but I do general tech law. I would let our speaker introduce herself. Over to you, Kelechi.
All right, sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining for this conversation. I'm not the moderator, but it's nice to be here. My name is Kelechi. I've done a couple of things, but I would say for the context of this conversation, I am a lawyer. I'm a lawyer called Tuba in Nigeria, so a Nigerian lawyer. And I'm just someone that has been through the span of my career very interested in entrepreneurship, venture, that's one, but also innovation within the legal space. And I had to play that role, one, as a lawyer, two, as a startup, as an operator, and also as an investor in some shape or form. And yeah, it's great to be with you guys today.
We're very happy to meet you. So I guess we just dive right in. I think my very first question to you is, like you said, you've had quite an interesting journey. And so what informed your pivot into what you do now and even inspired you to found Techlawyered?
All right. I'll start with the question on Techlawyered. I think Techlawyered started for me when I had finished school in Nigeria. I was called to I was a lawyer, and I was reading online on the internet various kinds of innovations happening across the world. And I really wasn't seeing so much of that in Nigeria. And this was around 2018, 2019. And so I started out sort of like learning, reading, exploring. I finished law and I transitioned into software development. So there was like some opportunity for innovation as a developer and as a lawyer as well. And so it was just me talking about my experience, the things I was seeing. My favorite line at the time was, tech is here to take our jobs. So if you don't innovate, tech will take your job. I thought it was tech at the time, not AI that we have right now. And then that's how Techlawyered was founded, actually, just like documenting my learnings, sharing stories, talking to people as well, being part of communities and all of that. And for where I am right now, I think it's come from seeing different things, experiencing different things. So moving from being a developer to a product manager and building products, and then transitioning into being a program manager for startups and designing programs and accelerator that invested in startups that were innovating in the legal space across West Africa. And now being in the VC space, sort of like learning to invest in legal tech ventures. And so it's been interesting, but what revolves around it is just trying to support, whether it's by initiating, it's by supporting legal innovation generally. Yeah.
Awesome. That's actually fantastic stuff, by the way. Because to move from tech or to move from law into actual tech is quite remarkable. But yeah, shout out to you.
Thank you.
So now, many African law firms, we are quite stuck in our ways, right? What do you think is like the biggest bottleneck we have in our workflow as Africa? Because you have worked across, so you have quite an interesting perspective from the African perspective to the European perspective. What do you think is our biggest bottleneck?
We have a couple of them, to be honest. And right now, I don't think I want to say it's knowledge, but I don't think so, because you already just know that things are happening. I think it's just, like you said, being stuck in our ways. In Nigeria, we have the saying where older lawyers that go to court and they have like their wig and gown, they don't buy new ones because they want to show you exactly through the appearance of the wig and gown that they've been there since. And it's just interesting. And that mindset has also sort of like found its way into like our systems, our workflows, where we are not looking to innovate even in the most simplest of ways. So I would say it's just us being stuck in our ways, also not being open to innovation. And I think that even now speaking about it, innovation has grown to become a buzzword that everyone just like throws here and there. And that's not what it's supposed to be. It's innovation is as simple as using WhatsApp to communicate with your clients, because that's like where they are, right? Meeting them halfway, using emails to communicate, serving notices via emails if need be. Just kind of little things that we can sort of like use technology to automate or make better. I mean, I don't know if automate is now like a buzzword as well, but also make our lives better, make our lives more, make our work more efficient, right? That's literally it. We have a particular legal tech company, which I think is like very popular. It's called Law Pavilion, and I worked there at some point in my career. And what they have done is one of their leading products is being able to digitize law reports for Nigerians, or for Nigerians rather, for Nigerian lawyers. And innovation in a law firm would be subscribing to that kind of platform rather than having to spend days and months with junior lawyers going through law reports just to get citations and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. But aside like the knowledge and the fact that the technology is new, do you think there's something specific that informs their hesitation to adopting new tools generally?
Money, affordability, and that's really true. I mean, and I think it's also been, I wouldn't say being spoiled for choice, but also the limitation with respect to choices. I was fortunate enough to attend a particular conference in the UK. It's called Legaltech Talk. I think it was the first edition. And I was just excited by the legal tools that were available for you to try out different things. They could give you like a trial and all of that. And when I was like, it's like going from boot to boot and being excited, and then I asked for the price. And as a Nigerian, I could literally do the conversion rate. I just know that, okay, I can't afford this, right? But I see that it makes sense to a lawyer that is based here because it's like some income that is possible for them, right? So I would say one is affordability. I can't imagine that kind of company having a market in Africa and wanting to sell. I don't know what they'll be selling for and what they'll be selling at, what the rate will be and all of that. So it's really affordability. And two, it's also, I would say, the limitation of the ecosystem. And because this could also go into infrastructure. When we have like a healthy competitor landscape, the consumer enjoys things because you're able to choose from here, decide exactly what works for your case, for your own use case and all of that. But when you only have whatever the leading vendor does, if it's not for your use case, you're left with not doing anything, not innovating. And if it is, you're paying like a high price. So it's the infrastructure, the ecosystem, affordability as well, government policy, it's a lot. I would just say with what law firms can work with, it's definitely affordability.
Okay. So going off the back of that, in your work with Techlawyered, all your work is about no-fuss tools, right? So can you share with us some of the affordable and simple tools or even strategies that law firms and lawyers can successfully adopt in their workflow?
Sure. I could start with sort of like doing an evaluation of your workflow, right? End to end, your client and onboarding process, your client meetings, client onboarding, client offboarding, the transaction itself. It's like, where is the most place that you spend the most time and money? Then where in this chain of activities, where's the most painful or stressful or whatever you want to call it, and evaluate, are there tools that already help with this? If it's in client meetings or if it's in taking notes during meetings, probably you go for client meetings and some things fall through the cracks and you can't actually remember what was said. Do you want to subscribe to a note taker that can help you so that you can, go back to your meeting notes and you don't have to be shuffling between listening to what your clients or potential clients are saying and taking notes and all of that, or just trusting your memory. So again, it's just really evaluating end to end your process in your firm, and not just your firm. I think like every transaction you do, if you're a firm or you're a lawyer that does a couple of things across different industries, evaluating all of that. Where am I really so stressed out with? And then are there tools that help make this better? Then what is the pilot of this? Like, what's the cheapest? And also being open to experimentation. Now we're spoiled for choice with Gen AI. There's ChatGPT, there's Claude, there's Perplexity, there's Gemini, and there are a lot more of them, right? And it's okay to try out all of them. For instance, I'm not saying like these tools are useful for you, but in the instance where you have a couple of options and you can try them for free, like these Gen AI tools, try them out, experiment with them, see what's possible, see what actually works for you, or what fits your use case, and then go for it. And with answering on like the tools, again, I would just say depends, because I could just go on and give like generic stuff and it really may not be applicable to anyone or to a lot of us. So I would say just going back to evaluating what could change right now, as well as taking it one step at a time. So you can't change all your stack. Same way you don't create your systems in one day. You can't actually overhaul everything in one day. So maybe just taking it at a time, which is the most painful, changing that and then moving upwards.
Okay, that actually sounds good. So guys, if you're listening, you're focusing on time, what you spend the most time on, what stresses you out the most in your workflow. Start from there and then find individual tools that could possibly help increase or make your workflow a bit more efficient with the available tech tools. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the comment section. We'll read them out. Or if we're able to run through the interview on time, we'll actually give you an opportunity to come up and ask your question as well. Okay, so now, I guess my question would be, even though you don't really want a pinpoint, right? If you wanted a law firm to make one small impactful workflow improvement tomorrow, within the context of how traditional, because I think Ghana and Nigeria's traditional legal system is definitely, it mirrors each other, right? So what would you suggest tomorrow? Like, I want to change something in my law firm. What do you think would be one small impactful workflow improvement that you would suggest that I make?
Okay, so I know this will sound very weird. Even me saying it sounds weird, but in the event that you don't send emails, probably use Gmail. Use Drive for documents. We're very paper heavy, like in the industry. So why not try to digitize that? And what that means is, instead of having all your documents all your files in one place, hard copy, what if you're able to scan all of that and have it in a drive, in a Google Drive or some storage in the cloud, so that you can fetch that if need be, right? Your meetings as well. Thankfully, we have Google Calendar, where you can schedule meetings, or you can use Calendly, which is like really popular. People get to schedule meetings and then talk to you. I've mentioned about like Note Taker, and I say all this because I'm not trying to suggest sort of like heavy practice management tools, because I don't actually know what your practice is, right? And those ones sometimes could be expensive too, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm not here to give you something that could be crazy, but if you're able to afford it, I think Clio has done really decent. But that's like an international tool. If I come to Africa, I'm not very familiar with like the legal tech companies in Ghana, aside Judy actually. But Law Pavilion also has like a practice management tool that can also help as well. So if you need something that gives you like end to end, this is like where my law firm is. I think in Nigeria as well, Pocket Lawyers have also created like some form of virtual law firm that anyone can set up an account with them and then have where you manage like your activities. So I think being mobile, right, like having your law firm go with you wherever you go, is an example of some way in which you can automate your stuff. And if you have the money and you want to go full blown, then definitely there are tools you can use to review your contracts easily. Not ChatGPT. ChatGPT is good, but we've also we had situations where aka fictitious like cases. So I would say use with caution. But there are tools that have been able to maximize create their LLMs, and you can use them to review your contract on the fly. So what would have taken you 2 days, 3 days could take you 30 minutes, and you're churning out contracts very fast. So yeah.
Sounds good. And I think even from what you were saying earlier, you were talking about emails and you're kind of brushing it off and digitizing of documents, etc. But one thing I encourage with my clients is if there's, for instance, I don't need to move from one part of my city to you to have a signature. If the type of document is not barred by the Electronic Transactions Act, this is to the lawyers in Ghana, you can move for signing of documents virtually. These are very small things, but it's going to save you a lot of time. Because, yeah, exactly, because you could actually put it in your calendar that I'm moving from this part of the city to that part of the city for 1 hour to sign a document. Guys, let's find ways to, work faster. Anyway, so AI is, look, it's such a buzzword now. It's insane. I mean, we get it because it's relevant, and the revolution is here. It's not coming. It's here. So it's definitely affecting and reshaping the legal sector, right? So from your perspective, how can African law firms prepare for this shift?
By preparing. I'll just jumping in. Literally, I think I would say, and I'll use what I have learned so far, it's just being open-minded, like knowing what's out there, but also not being overwhelmed. Because people are trying out tools, founders are churning out platforms, tools on the fly. We can see how a startup could create like a tool that makes a lot of sense and helps, and the next day that's a feature on ChatGPT, and that's gone, right? So things are happening, but I think what we can do as lawyers or even as law firms is just be open-minded. For instance, have a time in your day or in your week where you just catch up on what's happened in AI this week, what's happened in AI today, what's happened in AI that has to do with like the legal practice or in Africa or in your country specifically, and how does that apply to me? Also, what's happening in other parts of the world that has to do with AI? What are the law firms saying? What are the lawyers saying? What kind of tools are the founders churning out? Of course, it may not be relevant to you accessibility-wise, affordability-wise at this time, but it sort of gives you an idea of where the world is going to. And you can get ideas of how to tailor those things to your work practice. And if you can't, put it on the shelf. At some point, it become relevant, right? For now, it may not be, but at some point, you're relevant. But you've exposed yourself to what's possible. It's something better and cheaper. You never can tell. Yeah.
Sounds good. Now, I found this part of your job very interesting. I don't know if you'd be willing to shed light on it. It says that you sit on the board of justice-focused startups, right? So you could just touch briefly on what that is. And I think that also gives you a very unique perspective as to what's happening in the ecosystem. So how can we, as lawyers and law firms, prepare and learn for to future-proof our practice? Of course, we've mentioned AI and digitizing some parts of our workflow. But from that perspective, what is it looking like?
Sure, I can share. So the startups I sit only about, I think there are two. One is one helps with women that are victims of, or survivors rather, we don't use victims anymore, survivors of domestic violence. And the other helps with like caring people that are in need of legal services. And that has been interesting. And that stemmed from like my experience working with startups on the accelerator side of things, where I had to support them, look for funding, take them through programs, blah, blah, blah. And it's been interesting. And I think one thing a lot of folks can learn is, I guess, experimentation and mostly listening to your customer. And in this case, in the legal industry, we call that your client, right? What's your client saying? What did your client complain about? Also, if you finish a transaction, the way we call it customer feedback in the startup world, in the entrepreneurship ecosystem, if you finish a transaction, for instance, with a client, don't just take the money and go. Have a sit down with the client. How did this go? Did you have to talk with me multiple times for a contract? Did you like that? because that client would be your ambassador somewhat and tell others about you and refer you. And if you've done bad with your service, if you did a good work, but you did it too late, I'm not sure how best to explain. It means you're really good at your job, but you're just like lazy in communication, or you're studying the whole process. The client wouldn't want to come back, but you also want to get that feedback, no matter how sad you might feel after that, because it helps you improve your process. And then even with that, you're able to still evaluate or audit how you do things end to end, or at what part of this process did the client complain about, what was going on there, what's happening there, how can I make this better for the next client. So I would say it's just getting feedback from your client after every transaction. Be happy with the money in the bank, but if you want to have more money, really good to have you sit down with your client and don't send them a survey form, right? People feel survey forms depending on their mood, right? And you want to have more than that. And you also don't want to be like founders that will send out a survey form and have 1,000 people fill the form, and they might not even go through it or do whatever, but the figures they have is 1,000 people fill the form. That's the metrics they choose to go with. You don't want to be like that. You actually want to ensure that even if it's 10 people that talk to you and tell you how to improve your process, that would be more helpful than just 1,000 people that don't really care about you. Yeah.
Awesome. So we are getting closer to the end of the discussion. We will open the floor up for questions in about 3-4 minutes. So for the audience, if you have any questions, please raise your hand in the next 3 minutes after this final question to Kelechi. So you transitioned from software engineering into legal tech, right? What advice would you have for tech professionals who want to build tools for the legal industry, particularly considering the fact that there are very peculiar barriers found in Africa? So let's assume the person who's trying to build this tech tool is in Ghana or somewhere in Africa listening in. What would your advice be?
Okay, my first answer off the bat was going to be follow the money, but I don't think that's the right answer in Africa because there's no money. So I'm just gonna call back and say, I don't know, you'll be fine. And I say that because the challenges will always be there, and interestingly, they'll keep evolving. But what I can say is think about. I guess it's like looking outward in. So explore what's happening in other regions, what's happening in other continents. People are raising money in other continents when it comes to legal tech. What are they doing? And what's the I don't know, the pilot of that? What's the MVP of that for us in Africa or within your community to innovate? Will people pay for this? If they don't pay for it, can I try it out first for free and see what that looks like and then come back? So of course, asking all those questions, and also being open to failing, because it's possible that you get everything right or you think you're getting everything right, and still the government does what the government does, and you kind of take that so personal. So yeah, look is more outward in, because the infrastructure isn't there for us. Every time I look at the funding situation in Africa, and I look at what's happening across the world, and I see how there's funding in legal tech, I think at some point, while evaluating at least for Nigeria, the Nigerian legal tech ecosystem, I was wondering if at all there was going to be one, because it looked like there was no support for infrastructure. Nobody really cared about it. It's more of a government thing and a people-led or a private citizen-led type innovation, right? Yeah. So I would say, I guess my summary would be resilient. If you're a Christian, God will help you. If you're not, whatever you believe in will help you. But seriously, be open to failing, and it's okay. But also look outside what's happening. Let that encourage you, and then figure out how to tweak that and contextualize it to your country or to Africa as a whole. Get people that also believe in that, crazy enough to believe in what you believe, and then build together and see where that goes. But don't beat yourself about it in case it doesn't work.
You think they should be looking at?
I'm sorry?
Are there any specific communities you think they should be looking at?
communities within Africa or outside Africa?
I mean, they're looking for funding. They're looking to build legal
Oh, well, definitely not. Legal tech is not yet, as at today, to the best of my knowledge, not yet an appealing industry for investors right now, which is one of the reasons why I decided to transition to VC and say, what's happening here? Let's see if we can have more people actually look into legal tech. So I would say it's just, I think another thing which I've noticed, and sadly, is also not, I hope this is not bad advice, but it's also trying, not whatever you're building, do not brand solely as legal tech. I say that because there are situations where we know, I've had a situation where I supported a startup that was obviously legal tech, but they could also brand as compliance or regulatory tech. And it was good for them because investors they could make sense of reg tech, but couldn't make sense of the viability of legal tech. And so that branding was able to help them attract funding. And they did their impactful work. They did the reg tech stuff, the legal tech stuff. The ecosystem was happy. So also evaluate, is your idea or your innovation something that can be tweaked that way? Is it compliance? Is it KYC, like fraud identification? Can it be tagged that way? If it's core legal tech as well, figure out if you have like a justice angle to it, where you're actually helping people access justice. I see that more institutions, more donors, philanthropists are more inclined towards access to justice, improving justice, blah, 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 than core legal tech, because I believe that justice tech is more into helping people, unlike legal tech that is for helping lawyers, right? So it depends on how you want to brand, but also how you are able to tell your story to the exact audience.
It makes sense. I'm sure they're not giving lawyers money because they think that lawyers don't need it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I can see why people would go the justice route or, like the inequality route, because then
exactly
it encourages donors to come in.
And it also appeals to the Africans are poor type. I'm sorry. It just sort of like appeals to that. And then, you get like their sympathy and stuff, right? But of course, if that's your calling, feel free to go that route. I am not throwing shades at it. I've worked in that space and I've enjoyed it and done my part. But if you think that you want to be for profit and really make money, also go that route as well. Yeah.
Makes sense. So we have a question from Mandy, and she says, if you're done studying legal technology in university, do you qualify as a lawyer in your home country to practice or work in a company? Is this question to Kelechi or me? I think I'll take it. I do not think so, because for every country, you would have to pass the bar for you to qualify as a lawyer. And so I'm not sure what country you're in, but say you find, I don't even think you can get an LLM in Ghana without having an LLB to begin with. So there's that as well. But yeah, you would have to definitely take the bar before you can qualify as a lawyer. Maybe this might be your question. Can you do legal tech without being a lawyer? Absolutely, you can. You might definitely need some legal background. So, because you're going to do legal tech, so you might definitely need some legal background, maybe an LLB, but you can definitely, Mitch is a perfect example. Mitch is the co-founder of Legaltech, and Mitch is not a lawyer, but he has quite an extensive knowledge of law and legal tech, and that's what he does successfully at that. Shout out to Mitch, my boss. Are there any questions? AI has made the legal work easier and faster. Is there a need to revise legal fees? Obed. Kelechi, I want to hear your perspective on this.
You pay for AI, right? So if you need to, it depends on the angle you want to come from. But yes, of course, if the AI tool is free for you, then you can decide how exactly you want to go about it. But if you pay for it, it's part of like your, it's part of your cost. So it has to reflect it. It's more like saying if you hire more people, would you increase your fixed cost? Because you're paying salaries, right? So there will be a ripple effect. So yes, And also because you're churning out work faster, which is interesting. If something could have, what's the word now, could have taken you like 2 days maybe to churn out, but now you're doing it like in 2 hours, in 1 hour. That's like efficiency, and that's what the client is paying for. So yes, increase your fees all the way.
So someone is asking, as a follow-up, after that we'll come to Ajay Jan's question. He says, as a follow-up, what do you think will happen to the billable hour model then?
I mean, it would shift, and I would say that that's already like a conversation happening in Europe, or particularly in the UK, right? It's like, it's not working anymore. Because the client also has access. I mean, we've had situations where the client will create a contract with ChatGPT and ask you to come and review. So you can literally see that what you have access to, they always also have access to it as well. So you can't build them a contract that you would have built them per hour and say you are saying in 4, 5, 6, or 24 hours or in 6 hours. They are paying for that. They will just literally give to ChatGPT and in 30 minutes bring it to you to say, ChatGPT is 30 minutes. Why are you billing me 6 hours, right? So definitely there's going to be a tweak to that. It's actually going to die off with some time, and that's already a conversation happening.
Yeah, for sure. Charlotte, could you kindly let Ajay Jan speak now?
Right. Hi. Hi, Vanessa. Hi, Kelechi. Quick one. So my question is about you. Usually, I just want to know what happens to people who don't, who don't have like maybe full access to using the internet. I'm asking as a product manager.
Okay.
People who hardly have access to like very good internet, especially for businesses in these areas. What do they do? Like, are there tools or are there products that can be like developed that can work like offline? I don't know. I'm just always trying to figure out what to do about these people.
I could just take that. That's a really good question. And the answer is I don't know. I don't know as you don't know, to be fair. And what I mean by that is most times people that build products build for a category demographic with like smartphones and all of that, not really thinking about the internet or internet accessibility. We've had situations where people now get to build with that in mind and then build offline versions, but sometimes that becomes even more expensive than the versions that you're able to access via the internet. So it's actually always a trade-off, pretty much. And depending on whatever you're looking to, I would say, solve for or what you're looking to optimize for, there could be options. But it's the trade-off is also going to be like more around affordability and also accessibility as well. One thing I've seen is an instance that may or may not be relevant here is with respect to mobile courts. So we've had situations where people aren't able to go to the courts because of like the distance and all of that, or even log on to a particular platform to go to attend virtual hearings with like on Zoom. Yeah. And so there are now mobile courts that come to them instead. That's an example of things like that. But it takes a lot of awareness, 2 infrastructure, 3 affordability as well to make it scale. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. I was about to ask if that answered your question, but I think your response.
Thank you.
Ruben's question is an interesting one. So as a student of economics and industrial organization at UMAT, how can I position myself to pursue a career in corporate law? Would you advise this path as feasible? Okay. Kelechi, do you have any thoughts on this?
I think so. I think so. Sorry, I'm stuttering here, but I think so. I don't think some things will phase out, right? Even with respect to the way life is going, AI and all of that, right? Corporate law in this case, it has to do with like business law. There will always be businesses. Now, businesses could evolve here and there. Transactions could get more complex, more simpler, depending on the tools that will be used. But it's also like, how do you interpret that for yourself and for your career? In in the ecosystem of whatever corporate law could mean, like it could mean to you, do you want to niche down into something and just like focus on it? But my short answer to you is yes. Any part you think is actually feasible. It just depends on how you want to build on it, but also looking at where the world is right now, where the world is likely to go.
Yeah.
What can you do now to position yourself for that go-to corporate lawyer in the next 10, 15 years? Start doing that now. So like planning backwards. Yeah.
And just like you mentioned, you are an economics student. Every lawyer here is going to tell you that the journey to becoming a lawyer is not an easy one. So make sure you're making your career choices not based off what you think has so much hype now, but you must have at least a certain foundational interest in whatever career path you decide to pursue. Just free advice. Don't pursue it because so many people are making noise about it. Nia J says, can alternative legal service providers phase out billable hours for lawyers? I think Kelechi touched briefly on this.
Short answer is yes.
Yeah. What's your hot take on the whole AI is going to take jobs of lawyers?
AI is going to take the jobs of lawyers. It's already taking it. I mean, literally. Again, like I said, you're having your clients. You have that situations where clients are taking an agreement that was drafted by the lawyer to ChatGPT to review, and then bring the same contract back to the lawyer to say, this is what ChatGPT said about your contract. Yeah. Right? So, yes, it's going to happen. But I think the way it's been tweaked now is, it's going to take the jobs of lawyers that are not open to innovating and using AI. So it's not like we say tech is an enabler. It's not like the dominant factor in this sense. You are the dominant factor. You have gone through this. You have the whole composition of a human and all of that, right? So it's lawyers that get to use these tools. The way you use these tools to make your work more efficient, to be more productive, to churn out work faster so that you're able to, get your clients to where they need to be, blah, 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 right? Those are the ones that will still have their jobs. The ones that are still stuck in their ways are the ones that definitely AI is going to take their jobs. So that's my hot take.
Awesome. So just a quick one, guys. We have our next event coming up, and we actually have a fantastic surprise for everyone here. We have a discount code. I think it's been dropped into the chat. And so the event is in November. Our next Law-Tech Hangout, Accra Law-Tech Hangout, is in November. And we are giving you guys a discount on your tickets. So if you click the link and you use the discount code that has been provided, which is premium ALH, and ALH is in caps, you get a very sweet discount for your tickets. Okay, so we'll take a final question. Mitch has raised his hand. Mitch, do you want to come on before the final question or after?
After.
Okay, so what types of career paths are available to legal technology graduates who do not qualify as lawyers? And how do these differ from rules that require a legal license?
There are a couple. One is being a developer. Well, that's like if you choose to. But there are also stuff around being a founder. I mean, that's a part. Just create the things for us, and lawyers will get to work for you. People that have the legal license get to work for you. But there are some around like legal operations, which is something that I've actually had to dabble into. So handle more around the admin and operational side of things in a law firm that is innovating. So there are a couple of, I'll say, pathways for you. There's also the part around doing whatever it is you want to do, being a designer, being a UX researcher for a legal tech startup, depending on what your passion is, depending on what your skill sets are, there are a couple of things that you can do that do not necessarily require you being a lawyer in that sense. And if you're a lawyer that has a license and you don't intend to actually practice, you can also be an advisor, on the innovation side of things, being the one experimenting with tools and saying, let our law firm try this out, try that out, and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could be an investor too. Sorry, I'm trying to say you could be an investor as well.
That's funny. You could also dabble in research and even explore packs around policy work as well, just for your information. Yeah. So there's a lot to do. You just have to find what your strengths are, and you can position yourself in the space. Apparently, we glossed over one question. So, Seat, your first question is: legal systems differ across countries. From your experience, how can the legal tech scale globally without having Okay.
Okay, how can a legal tech product scale globally without having to compete it before each jurisdiction?
Yes.
The same way every other kind of product like scales. What I mean by any other kind of product, I mean even like across different industries, so fintech, insurtech, whatever, as they scale across the different jurisdictions. It's just one, complying with what are like the basic compliance requirements required in those jurisdictions. Are you aligning with that? And then seeing how to contextualize your product to that jurisdiction. Let me explain what I meant. And I think for ChatGPT, so example, this is $20. In Nigeria, it's 9,000 naira. I don't know how much that would be in cedars, but that's an example of a tool that has expanded across the world, but has had to contextualize based off pricing and accessibility in their different markets. So, but they definitely would have, what's the word? General, for instance, the GDPR, right? In our case, in Nigeria, is NDPR, data protection like requirements that they have to adhere to. So there are basic foundational things that must make sense across different jurisdictions. And if it doesn't make sense, don't enter the market because it doesn't work for you. But if you're going in, you have to contextualize your markets. For Netflix, for instance, there's some content that we in Nigeria don't have access to, but those in the US, and I'm so jealous of them, they have access to those content, right? That's also being able to contextualize set features, content, tools, whatever it is on your platform or your tool for the different markets that you're looking to scale into. Yeah.
So in conclusion, start small, guys. I know we all want to go global, but start small. And then, you'll find a way to scale. Mitch, over to you.
Thanks very much. Can you hear me, Vanessa?
Yes, we can.
Hi, Kelechi, and good evening. We've been trying to meet for so long, but I'm a big fan of Kelechi. For people on the call, I think I've been following Hill Justice work ever since that you were there. For people who are interested, I think this call was mainly on law firms, but I think Hill Justice was a lot of access to justice work. So if you just Google Hill Justice, I think there was a question around limit to internet access and all of that. If you want to know some of the things happening in the rural areas on getting access to legal, I think Kelechi did a lot of work there. She didn't mention them, but I'm mentioning on her behalf. But thanks very much, Kelechi, for spending your time with her. I think we had everybody who joined at the beginning still logged into the end. So it means it was a very engaging session. And we wish we could have you in Accra in November, but we don't know. We don't know. It can't happen. But for everybody else, like Vanessa said, there's a discount code in the chat. And unfortunately, this will be our last online or drop-in session before November. We had to cancel next month drop-in session just to make sure that we have all our plans in place ahead of Accra Law Tech Hangout in November. So this is our last one. And in addition to the discount code that they've put in the chat, we know there are quite a number of lawyers on this call. If your law firm is interested in partnering us, if you want a special discount or you want to engage us directly, there is an email in the chat, I think Community at Legaltech Lounge. You can shoot us an email. You can just drop a message in the WhatsApp chat saying you want to talk to us. Charlotte or Jalila will pick that up and we can have that conversation with you. The reason why I'm saying this is that last year, unfortunately, we had quite a number of people reach out to us on the day of the event, and we didn't have space for them. So we are trying to make sure that that does not happen again. So we are 2 months away from November. So if you think your firm will be interested in what we are doing and you want a special discount, you want to partner with us, feel free to reach out to us. Yeah, Vanessa, I am done. And thank you very much for being a brilliant host.
Thanks, Mitch. Okay, Kelechi, do you have any last words for us before we wrap this up?
Do you? You'll be fine. I think that's it. Just like, yeah, whatever path you choose to take, however you choose to innovate, you might fail, and that's okay. And I think that sounds really cliche, but the truth is you'll be fine. But yeah, if you're still trying to figure things out, it's okay to experiment as well as much as you want to. And yeah, rooting for you.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining. And I think the only thing I'm going to say is in your transition from your traditional way that you approach legal work into going digital, start small, like Kelechi said. Look at your entire process flow and find what you spend a lot of time on and what stresses you a lot. If there are tools for that, start there and you'll be fine. Because, I mean, if you don't adapt, like she said, AI might take your work. So get used to using the tools now. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you in November. And thanks for joining. Bye.